1, 2, 3.
As you read in the title, we're talking early ice, first ice, panfish. Now, I was talking to my dad the other day, and he was complaining that, well, before I get into the story, take a look at this. That right there is how my dad stores his suckers for fall musky fishing. And he was complaining that his net was actually freezing up down in the lake, and said that, man, there's a bunch of ice in my bay here. So yeah, my suckers keep on getting frozen. And I thought to myself, if I could get out on fishable ice before Halloween, how crazy would that be? So before I turned this camera on, what I did is I snuck out on the lake. I got a decent ways out there, and I tried to catch some panfish for you, but unfortunately I was not able to pull it off. So I figured, hey, well, we're already on the ice, I might as well shoot a video, give you guys some valuable information that you can use out on first ice this year. So today we're gonna be talking all about a few of my favorite early ice panfish baits. Now, first things first, we're gonna talk about jigs. Now, I am a big fan of using jigs for panfish for a few different reasons. First and foremost, I just have a lot of confidence in it. I feel like if the fish are real snappy and in an aggressive mood, they're gonna bite a jig. But also, if they're kind of in a fussy mood and maybe not so eager to bite, a jig will also work. And you know, it's just a good finesse presentation that gets bit all the time. I like to use really, really tiny jigs, micro tungsten jigs with about 2-pound test fluorocarbon line when the bite is really, really tough. And yeah, I have a hard time finding a presentation that works better than that when the fish aren't snapping. So as far as specific jigs, you know, there's a lot of different standard size tungsten panfish jigs. Now this one right here, the Mooska Jig, is one of my favorites. There's a lot of cool colors on it right here. Now, as you can see, this is like a flashy chartreuse gold one. I got a silver right here as well. So lots of good colors. That's why I'm a fan of that particular jig. Another one too is just your standard fireball ice panfish jig. That's one I use quite a bit as well. And the reason why I like these jigs is because it's really simple. There's really no trick about them. They're just tried and true. Another jig that I really, really like for panfish is the Dropkick Jig. So the reason why I like this jig is because of its action. It really rocks a lot like this in the water, and sometimes that can be the key to getting panfish to bite. And another reason why I really like it is because it has a little bit of an upsized hook. Now, bigger hooks are becoming more common in the panfish world, and that was always a big problem with the really, really small micro jigs, was that they didn't have big enough hooks. But we're seeing bigger hooks now, and I think that's a good thing. That allows you to handle those bigger crappies or bigger bluegills, and also it allows you to pile some more bait on there too. So all good things. That's one of the reasons why I like the Dropkick Jig. What else do I got in here? Oh yes, fly jigs. I love fly jigs. This one right here is the Tungsten Punch Fly. What's cool about this jig is it's got the tungsten head, so it's gonna fall fast, and you can use really light line and it's still gonna straighten it out because it's fairly heavy for the size that it is. And also, really, really big is it's got the hand-tied hackle right around the head there. And why that is extremely clutch is the fact that I feel really confident in using this bait without any live bait tipping on the back. So no waxworms, no spikes. And that's why I love these hair jigs, and I use them all the time for both panfish and crappies, and for perch as well. The perch really like it too. Another one that I really like is the Mitee Mouse here. Now, as you can see, it's got some big, crazy, googly eyes. It has a lot of wobble when you're jigging it, and I really think that panfish like that a lot. Also, you'll notice I'm holding up pink here. Pink is one of my absolute favorite colors. especially for panfish and walleyes, and a lot of stuff through the ice really likes pink. A few other colors while I'm on the topic of color. I like green as well. Oops. Green, chartreuse, that kind of family of colors is always successful. And white. You can't go wrong with white. White is one of the safest colors you can use under the ice. But if you want your bait to stick out a little bit more when the fish are feeding up towards your bait, I would actually go with black. Black is a really good color as well because it contrasts with the ice. Now before we move on to some different baits, I would also recommend that you pick up a really good jig box. Now this one right here is made by Gruv, and I don't work with Gruv, but I don't even know what this box is called, but it's super sweet, and the reason why I like it is because I can go like this, and you'll notice that none of my jigs fall out. That's a problem that I have had in the past with different boxes, but whatever this silicone material they use is super, super slick. As you can see, I actually have two boxes right here. I got one side here and one side here, and what I did is I taped on some Velcro. So I could tear this apart if I wanted to and maybe put a different box on the other side or whatever, but now I have jigs on this side, and it's more than enough to carry everything I have. Now one reason why I really, really like early ice is because oftentimes you're dealing with fish that are in a really good mood, whether you're chasing for walleyes, panfish, pike, you name it. A lot of times the fish are willing to bite aggressive baits, and when that's the case, I like to use rattle baits a lot. One thing that I would recommend is definitely trying it, especially if you're trying to cover water, because when you have that rattling action and vibration in the water, what that'll do is that'll call fish in from a distance, and what that means is you don't necessarily have to drill quite as many holes while you're looking for fish. So just drop it down, give it a couple rips, and see if it calls fish into your hole. If not, you move on. But I really, really like to use these for crappies, especially when I'm fishing around basin areas or around structure on early ice. Oftentimes a big bait like this is gonna be no problem for a good sized crappie to come up and bite, and actually even some of the smaller and moderate size fish will bite a bigger bait like this. And often what you're doing when you're using these big baits like this is you're selecting for the largest fish in the school. And that's something that I always like to do, especially when I'm fishing in deeper water, because if you pull a fish from too deep of water, they might experience barotrauma, which in that case, oftentimes it doesn't matter if you let that fish down into the hole and it kicks off, that's gonna be a dead fish anyway. So if you are gonna be keeping fish and you're gonna be fishing in deeper water, I would recommend at least starting out with a bigger bait like this, because you select for those bigger fish and you don't kill the little potato chips that you might happen to catch if you're using a smaller presentation. So lipless crankbait right there. Another one that I like to use are these smaller, like minnow style baits, like the puppet minnow or Jigging Rap. They do a lot of diving and jumping around underneath your hole, and what that does is helps you cover just a little bit of a different, a little bit of a wider area around your hole as opposed to fishing just right underneath you. So that is one of the big benefits of using these baits. And I will also say, when you're fishing them, I like to give them a little pop to get them out away from the hole. But then when I'm marking a fish on my graph, what I'll do is I'll slow my presentation and I'll work that fish up just like I would with a jig or, you know, any other presentation that you might be using through the ice. Now you can get really, really small ones like this, or if you're chasing crappies, you could actually almost go to like a small walleye size, and that'll work great too. So it just depends on the size of fish that you're chasing and the species of fish. So crappies are just always gonna be a little more apt to bite these bigger baits. I'm a big fan of these minnow baits, especially when I'm fishing in deep water, because they're heavy, they fall fast, and they get bit. Now the last category of baits that I'm gonna talk about quick are spoons. Now, yes, I will use spoons sometimes for panfish, specifically for crappies and perch. So basically what I like to do is take a few of my favorite walleye spoons and I will downsize a little bit. And so let's say if I like to use an 1/8 ounce buckshot spoon or a 1/4 ounce buckshot spoon for walleyes, what I'll do then is I'll downsize to a 1/16 ounce. And this particular bait is great for perch, crappies. Actually, this is one of my favorite perch colors right here. It's orange and chartreuse. For whatever reason, if it looks like a perch like to eat it. I don't totally get it, but yeah. Anywho, I think a lot of stuff likes to eat perch, so maybe that does make sense. But yeah, the reason why I like these spoons is because you can fish them fast, you can fish them fairly aggressive, and even panfish aren't afraid of something that's this big, as long as you got some wax worms or larvae hanging off the bottom treble there. So now before I wrap this video up and head back to land over there, I just want to let all you guys know who are watching this video and might not know a lot about ice fishing or ice, that I wouldn't be sneaking out on thin ice this time of year if I wasn't extremely confident in what I was walking on, using a Spud Bar to work my way out and check the ice every single step. I have float suit on. The bibs will make me float. I had a jacket on earlier that also floats, so you just got to be extremely careful this time of year. It's super important. No fish is worth your life. Now, I also want to take a moment to thank you guys for watching this video. I really appreciate all you that made it all the way to the end. It means a lot. As far as all the gear that I talked about, I'll throw it down in the description below. I'll link everything up so you can find it easily. If there's anything that you guys want to see me do or want to know about, let me know in the comments section down below, and I will do my best to make a video about it for you. So I just appreciate you guys watching all the way to the end here, and yeah, stay tuned because we got more ice fishing videos coming.